Sometimes you really don't appreciate what you have until it is gone, and I worry that we are thinking that way with regards to our governmental systems, our institutions, and perhaps even democracy itself in Canada and the West. Now, I think a lot of people do take what we have for granted because it hasn't been under direct attack in their lifetime, say with fascism or communism, and so they don't necessarily think about the internal and external forces that pose a threat to the stability of our democracy and stability of our government. And one of the things I want to talk about today is the plea scandal and the liberal filibustering of the committees because they are definitely a threat to the democracy, at the very least in the sense that it degrades people's trust in the government's ability to police itself and to right wrongs, or at the very least to conduct investigations. Now, a lot of my colleagues have talked about this, but not necessarily from this angle, and that's what we're going to look at. So, as always, let's jump right in. Here you can see these are the Google results for liberals filibustering their own committee. Now, filibustering, for those who don't know, is when you basically try and use every procedural method in the rule book to just run out the clock. You are speaking for the maximum amount of time, you might be calling innumerable witnesses, you might be raising any number of points of order. You're basically trying to make it that the committee or the legislative body or whatever it is, you're basically trying to use the procedure itself to shut it down, to put really gum in the works and make it that it cannot do what it is trying to do by really running out the clock. Now, it's pretty odd for a government itself to do this. This tends to be done by opposition parties who really want to stop a piece of legislation, or maybe some other minority group in a parliament or a legislature that wants to raise awareness of an issue, because if you drag it on and you stop the government from doing something, it obviously becomes more newsworthy as you're having these marathon sessions, 20, 30, 40 hours. In the States, they go really crazy long, and we sometimes hear about that in the news. But that is basically what's happening, and that is troubling on the first point here because one of the Canadian sort of ideas compared to the American life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or the French liberté, égalité, fraternité, is peace, order, and good government. And it's basically, it's a throwback, it says here in the document, it's a throwback to the BNA Act, which is now known as the Constitution Act 1867. And the idea is that the government will provide good services to the people and will be an orderly and good government, a peaceable government. So why is filibustering such an issue? Well, it's an issue because it basically stops the government from functioning. And because that is the purpose of it, it also has the effect of making people feel that the government has stopped functioning. They don't necessarily think about what is going on with different parts of legislation. First reading, second reading, third reading, they may not even know about these things. All they know is whether or not bills are getting passed, new laws are happening or being created, the government is addressing problems. But when you filibuster something, all that's happening is a big mess. There is no real debate. It's just filibuster and wasting time for the sake of wasting time. And so the people, if they are paying enough attention and it goes on for long enough, they start to lose faith in the government's ability to actually get things done, whether they're good or bad things or whatever the things are almost irrelevant on a certain level. It basically stops people from feeling that their government can actually do the business of governing. Now, the thing that's sort of weird about this one is that the Liberals filibustering their own committee is not necessarily viewed as a direct threat to democracy or as a potential influence harming our system. If we look up Trudeau attack democracy on Google, you get 3.3 million results here, but a lot of them are about something else. There, for example, here, attacks on the media are a threat to democracy. Trudeau condemns a deadly attack on East Church. Again, a very recent piece of news, but that's not really what we're talking about here. There's one editorial here from The Sun and, a couple, but it's not really, people don't make it seem like it's that much of a pressing issue that the government is trying to filibuster their own committee to investigate something which the government allegedly, or members of the government have allegedly done. Now, again, if there's nothing there, you would think that we would be able to sort of wrap this up and show that there was nothing there. And obviously the filibustering and the delaying tactics basically give credence to the fact that there might be something there, and that's what a lot of the opposition is using. But if you then switch it to this here, Harper attack democracy, you've got 14 million results. So that's way more than the 3.3. That's over 3 times, almost 4 times as many results as for Trudeau attacking democracy. And a lot of these tend to be about Harper's actual governance, his anti-democratic abuses, using powers. So it's a very, very different understanding. And this, again, interestingly enough, this actually connects with this point here. The first result, attacks on the media are a threat to democracy. Well, when you've got Harper attacking democracy at 14 million results and Trudeau attacking democracy at 3 million results, even though there's a very serious issue. Now, again, Harper, he was in the government for 10 years. That could be the difference in the total number. But Trudeau has been also there for quite a long time. He was elected in 2015. It's getting up there. So, not even halfway, but who knows in terms of total results. Anyways, back to the main point. The issue of filibustering is a serious one because, again, it degrades people's trust in democracy. It does not really align with some of the original ideas of how Canadian government was supposed to work. And it's really just a last case resort for people that are desperate to either stop something or raise awareness. And it's really odd for a government itself to be doing this. I really think that more Canadians need to be paying attention to this. The We scandal itself may not be the biggest deal. This actually may be a bigger deal. The fact that we're just stopping committees from functioning to stop the investigation of this. But, the only way we will actually get change is for more Canadians to make their voices heard, either by connecting with their members of parliament or at the ballot box. That's really all it comes down to it. So hopefully we'll be able to see some better governance from our political leaders. I know that a lot of people are obviously very disappointed in what's been going on, and rightfully so, especially with these ones. But again, the only way to make that change is to make your voice heard with your MP or at the ballot box. So hopefully you found this video interesting and possibly learned something new as well. And for True North, I am Sam Eskenasi. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a great day.